Welcome everyone, I'm Kelbo, and this is the introduction to the Pokémon Renewal Project, my personal undertaking to revise every single aspect of Pokémon battling and tweak them all to my liking. I absolutely adore Pokémon. It's one of my favorite franchises of all time, and I would never do anything different with it. I'm not claiming to be better than Game Freak or any of the devs. I'm just a guy who is very passionate about Pokémon battling and very into the competitive scene. And I just want to take something I love and contribute what I can to it, simply sharing my vision of what would make the game even better for my personal enjoyment. Now, this is all my opinion. It's all about what I think is not optimal or what I think would make battling more fun. And that's the key word for this entire project. Its main focus, fun. And fun is subjective, so things I don't consider fun might be very enjoyable to you, and that's okay. We don't share opinions and interests. It's what makes every individual unique. Every opinion is completely valid. That being said, I would love to know what you think about these changes, specific mechanics, and everything being discussed in these videos. By the way, balance is a concern, but a minor one. I will be trying to keep everything balanced as long as it doesn't trump the fun aspect of things. Now, it's time to describe the limits of this project. What is up for grabs and what is safe? Well, the main battling mechanics are sacred. No changes to turn orders, the functionality of stats, the existence of held items, or the amount of Pokémon each player has access to. However, almost everything else is about game. Abilities, items, weather effects, moves, move pulls, typing, and most importantly, base stat totals and their distributions. Now, I won't be creating anything new. It will all be based on already existing things. I won't be making any changes to the type chart either. However, I could, for example, rework the functionality of an ability, change the secondary effect and base power of existing moves, or change a Pokémon's typing. It will all be on a case-to-case basis, and sometimes we will probably have to break our own rules at some point. In today's video, we have just established the rules and limitations of the project, but I'll also be setting the changes for the broader mechanics in the game, which include status, weather, and the shuffling of base stat totals. First up, for status. No big changes are necessary in my opinion, other than adapting the mechanics of Legends Arceus, replacing freeze and sleep for frostbite and drowsiness. I don't think anybody needs to be reminded of how annoying and unfair it feels to lose a whole battle because of the RNG nature of sleep and freeze. Inconsistency is the enemy of fun, at least to me. Sometimes landing a freeze on the opponent feels great, then they thaw out on the same turn and it was like nothing ever happened. Or getting a 3-turn sleep on your most important Pokémon and losing it, costing you the battle. These things are not fun, which is why reducing the amount of RNG always feels like it's the right call. But we often forget how fun rolling the dice is. After all, with absolutely no RNG, we would just be playing chess. Don't get me wrong, I love playing chess from time to time, but it's not what you want when you fire up a Pokémon game. That's exactly why we're willing to take the gambles on accuracy, and why secondary effects are so interesting when choosing movesets. It's also why I'm willing to completely spare paralysis and confusion. They will be left as is, One has functionality apart from the RNG, the other is temporary. Frostlight's effect of reducing the affected Pokemon's special attack is very welcome, a way to cripple special attackers in the same way Burn can cripple the physical. Now, drowsiness is a little bit more volatile. As is, it increases the damage taken by the affected Pokemon and gives them a chance to be unable to act, like paralysis. To standardize this, we can make it only last 3 turns, and increase the damage taken by 25%, while setting the chance to lose a turn to 25%. Once again, same as paralysis. These statuses, in my opinion, are way more fair than Sleep and Freeze, adding actual tactical advantage rather than just complete RNG. And while the RNG is still present, it's comparable to things we already deal with. The next big change I propose is to weather effects. Not all of them though. Rain, sun, and sandstorm are pretty good as is, and I don't see anything wrong to correct. Hail, however, is another matter entirely, since it doesn't even have a passive effect like the other weathers do. What I propose is to make the hail damage act as ice type damage, taking the Pokemon's typing into consideration. So, a flying or ground type would be hurt more, while water types would resist. This would expand the capabilities of hail setters and hail teams, but that's not all. I would also like to make Ice-type Pokemon get a 50% physical defense boost while under the effects of hail. This would make it a direct counterpart to the Sandstorm special defense boost to rock types, and make the frail, weakness-ridden ice types be able to take more physical hits, boosting the defensive viability of an otherwise unfavorable typing for the role. These changes would also make thematic sense, the hail being basically icy projectiles which would act as attacks, unlike Sandstorm, which isn't exactly like a ground type attacking move. The defensive boost comes from the ice types using the hail to reinforce their own bodies, along with the cold hardening the existing ice. Overall, this comes from the personal want of having the ice typing be more powerful on its own, rather than being just a strong offensive typing that's only really used as coverage on non-ice types. Also, I'm trying to make hail as strong as the other weathers, since it has never been able to stand up to its counterparts. I was also fiddling with the idea of making a move that removes weather conditions, already breaking my rules of not creating new moves. I thought of maybe even buffing the fog to have this functionality, but from my perspective, weather is already kinda hard enough to build around and set reliably, not to mention the constant weather wars, so is it really fun to have to account for a move that removes them entirely? I personally don't think so, but it could make for a very cool signature move for a legendary or a pseudo, something like Steel Roller, an attacking move that removes weather, while also being a decent offensive tool. The next big change is the main focus of the series, the buffing and reshuffling of base stat totals. The goal of this series is to go over every single fully evolved Pokemon and make them able to put in working higher tiers of Smogon singles and stronger VGC formats, overall increasing their battle prowess and competitive viability. For this purpose, we will be revising their strengths and weaknesses on a case-to-case basis, dedicating an entire video to each Pokemon to revamp them and make sure they all get the attention they deserve, either by expanding move pools, shuffling their base stats, and sometimes changing their typing. Though I will be trying to avoid that as much as possible. The biggest rule, though, is that every single fully evolved Pokémon will have their base stat total boosted to at least a total of 500. Now, why 500? It's because I consider this to be a sweet spot where plenty of Pokémon are able to shine brightly with this specific number, as well as being a round number that is perfect to bump up the stats of weaker Pokémon while enhancing the strength of those that are already kinda good. Now, it's gonna be touchy and tough to balance out Pokémon that are already close or over the 500 BST mark. After all, it wouldn't be fair to a Lakasam for Ferret to suddenly have the same power. So, the Pokémon between 480 and 520 will have the stats bumped up in relation to the 500 mark. This way, Pokémon that were already close keep their edge over the weaker ones, while the stronger ones also maintain their superiority. As I've stated before, this is all going to be on a case-to-case basis, and I will be explaining the reasonings for every single change in the Pokémon Song video. But remember, this is focused on the competitive scene, not on playthroughs, since the gap between not fully evolved and fully evolved Pokémon is about to get bigger than ever. I mean, imagine Whitney's Miltank with 20 more stat points against your poor little Quilava. So yeah, this has been the introduction to the Pokémon Renewal Project. I'm very excited to go over every single Pokémon and boost their viability, revise their move pools and abilities, and overall create a hypothetical metagame that, in theory, would allow you to both have fun and put in work with your favorite mons in high tiers. I will be going in Pokédex order, since most of the older mons are the most forgotten. Plus, it's easier to organize that way. So yeah, if you're interested, stay tuned, subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss my changes to your favorite mon. And remember to share your thoughts and feelings about the changes presented in these videos. And also feel free to make your own changes. I would love it if in the future this could become a community project where we can all come to a consensus on what would make Pokémon even more fun than it already is. So yeah, I've been Kelbo, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.